The things I remember the most from her was her smile, her laugh. She had this infectious laugh, and that, honestly, what I miss most is the humor that she had. I'm Joe Abraham. I was born in Chicago, raised in Glenview, Illinois. We live in Glenview, Illinois right now. I'm Katie Abraham's father. Katie was killed on January 19th, 2025 in Urbana, Illinois, visiting friends at the University of Illinois. She was killed by a drunk driving illegal immigrant. She was feisty right from the get-go, and that's kind of who she was. Katie definitely had a spirit, and that spirit was very evident early on in her life. So she was just a bundle of joy, she really was. You know, Katie had this unique personality, this really great sense of humor. She was terrific at reading a room, regardless of who the folks in the room were, whether they were adults or other kids.
I was definitely the fun aunt. I mean, I'm still the fun aunt. So it was always good times with Katie and I, and always joking and talking about things that you shouldn't talk about with a young person, but she always got it. She had an advanced sense of humor.
Everyone felt seen with her. If there were kids that were a little bit shy and a little bit slower to get involved, she would make sure she'd coax them in and she'd help them through that. She was really good at reading that stuff, and she was really good at, really understanding who's struggling and who's not. I'm telling you, the way she read a room, I rarely see that in anyone, even adults. We get a call from the detective in the morning, early morning, Sunday, the 19th. And, Katie's died in a tragic car accident.
The look on his face, I will never forget. It was, again, my heart dropped without him even saying anything.
He said, are you alone? And I said, well, no, I'm in the family room with the entire family. And he says, go into the other room. I have to tell you something. And of course, my heart dropped into my stomach. So I walked into the other room and I said, what's up? What's going on? And he said, Katie's dead. And I was like, Kate? I was like, come on, Joe. What's going on? And he's like, Katie's dead. Katie's dead. And so I just started screaming because, like, are you kidding me? And I remember just running outside and just screaming like a maniac. And a couple of my sister-in-laws came out there. And I mean, it's awful. It's gut-wrenching. It's gut-wrenching.
You want to pack up your tent and go home? But we had to stop. We said, hold on. Katie has 2 siblings. We have got to pull ourselves together. One's in college and about 5.5 hours away. The other one's about an hour away. So now think about this. We have to pull ourselves together. We just found out our youngest daughter was killed. We have to pull ourselves together, get into the car, drive 5.5 hours, racing so her sibling, who they are so close, a year apart, they were best friends, they talk to each other on an hourly basis. We have to rush 5.5 hours so she doesn't find out that her sister's dead from someone else. It was just silence, just stunned silence the whole way. And we spent, the next 6, 7, 8 hours just holding her, helping her, and then decided we had to get back to our other child. So that's where her mom stayed there, and Michelle and I drove home that night. So probably the longest day in our lives.
Dear Abraham family, I was Katie's 2nd grade teacher, and her warm energy is still clear as a bell in my heart. She had patience and encouragement for those who struggled. An enthusiastic cheerleader, she'd have made an excellent teacher or therapist. I'll not ever forget the patience she modeled while helping others, nor the beauty of her smile and her deep brown eyes. Too soon, unfair, how? There are no words to make sense of this or to ease the blows of grief.
And I believe it was, it's kind of foggy now, but I believe it was Wednesday morning. And I wasn't sleeping, but for some reason, that morning, I had dozed off. And I saw I missed a call from the detective, so I called her back. And the first word she said to me is, "We got him. We got him." Yeah, so that was a good day. He had went from Urbana to Chicago. He got on a bus down to Mexico, and the U.S. Marshals caught him in Milford, Texas, I believe. So he was almost at the border. It's interesting, though, the detective said, it was interesting that, we thought he was Juan Suarez, a Mexican national. But the U.S. Marshals knew right away this wasn't Juan Suarez. Juan Suarez was an alias. He had previously been deported. He was actually Julio Cucubol from Guatemala. He was Guatemalan national using a Mexican national alias. And that's what the detectives told us on that Wednesday morning. They didn't have a whole lot, just that the U.S. Marshals have them. The Urbana detectives were going to go down to Texas to interview him, and that they would call me the next day. They did call me. They said they met with him. They interviewed him. He wouldn't speak to them. But they told me they were going to extradite him back to Illinois, which I guess he agreed to. I suppose Illinois would be easier on a guy like him than, say, Texas probably, is what I'm thinking, why he said, yeah, let's get back to Illinois. There's no compassion in this state. And it makes me sick that these are the people. And when I say these people, this is not just migrants. I'm not talking all migrants. This is this choice that they give us, that I must accept every single person outside this country, regardless of whether they're a criminal or not, or I'm a racist. That's my choices in this state. That's what they tell you. You must accept everybody regardless. And as a matter of fact, they would say, in order not to be a racist, you got to accept everybody. But don't worry, if they do something illegally, they will get their due process and they will be adjudicated in Illinois for whatever that means. But do they not understand the impact that they leave behind them, the wake that they leave with these awful policies? These are things we're still thinking about. Like, the grief, and there's 1,000 things going through your head. Why did it happen? How did it happen? Could have been avoided. I can't wait to talk to someone in Illinois, a lawmaker, somebody to help me explain why my daughter had to die. But I got silence from Illinois. Deafening silence. I'll never forgive them for that. They are not a compassionate people. They're not a compassionate party here in Illinois. And I reject that they think they are. So you could say Julio Cucubol killed Katie. But by extension, in my mind, by extension, the Illinois politicians from Chicago to Springfield and everywhere in between, we're a one-party state, so it's the one party that runs a state, by extension, also killed Katie. At some point, someone here in this state, whether it's the governor or the politicians that enact these laws, help me understand. Explain to me, because maybe I'm missing it. Help me understand why my daughter had to die. She was sacrificed on some altar. I don't even know what it was for. So I wanted somebody, I was looking forward to having discussions with the compassionate politicians in this state. And I got nothing but silence. So that's the day the switch flipped for me. And I thought to myself, and I even told my wife at the hearing, oh, I get it. I get it now. They don't care. They're not compassionate. They're in it for themselves. They're in it for the gain. I think J.B. Pritzker's in this just for the game. He doesn't, I think, care about the citizens of this state.
I understand, Governor. Should that criminal have been here in the first place? Did he have a right to be in this country illegally?
If the person is a criminal of any sort, then they ought to be.
So that person had a right to be in the United States.
They ought to be given their due process rights, and they ought to be convicted. And
the criminal who entered this country illegally, in your testimony, had a right to be in this country.
He says it's fine. Everyone is welcome here. Anyone that can get here will be protected here. But if they do wrong, they will get due process and they will be adjudicated in Illinois. Now, I just want to make something clear. Katie did not get due process. She got death. Her family, me, we have a life sentence. And I don't think he understands that. It's not good enough to say, I don't have to have a front-end process to vet the people that shouldn't be here, because Julio Cucobol could have easily been vetted out of this state and Katie would be alive with us today. And the state is to me, it's the world, and this state is a less interesting place without her. So now he says, we'll take care of them in the back end, whatever that means. So let me understand this. You allow everybody and anybody because you make no distinction and you conflate everybody into one. They do wrong. They kill 2 women. In my case, Julio Cucobol killed 2 women. And now he's going to adjudicate Julio Cucobol. Will he see the light of day? I guarantee you he will. He'll see the light of day again. I got a daughter who will never see the light of day. I got a daughter who Julio Cucobol, along with the politicians of Illinois, were her judge, jury, and executioner.
Joe is amazing. He has taken this tragedy and turned it into this crusade, if you will. We don't want anyone else to go through this. We don't want this to happen to any other family. So what Joe is doing, he's getting out there and he's getting Katie's story out there and making sure that no one else has to go through this.
On June 26th, we were at the White House. You can say whatever you want about Donald Trump, but he heard our story. He invited us to the White House. He looked me in the eye. He shook my hand. He was authentic. He was sincere. He was caring. Everything opposite of what you've heard on the news media and our local politicians. Contrast that with J.B. Pritzker, whose silence is deafening in this case, right? So we were invited on June 26th. My wife and I went to the White House. It was in support of the big, beautiful bill. When I understood, I don't know everything in that bill, but I understood from a border security, from ICE, for DHS, there was a lot of funding and support there. We agreed to go because I think we need that now. Unfortunately, that the prior administration and the current administration in Illinois have created such an awful environment that now we need to invest the money in order to secure the border for real this time and to be able to get through and filter the folks that are here that shouldn't be here. We remodeled a room in the house, the basement, to make it Katie's space. So we have a nice little marble table with her urn on it. We have this lamp that I think she really would have liked. It was kind of like a bubble lamp or like a moon lamp, so she's always in the light. And then a rocking chair in front of her urn where we could be together, right? So there are times, and early on, particularly once the room was done and we had everything kind of settled in, it was a place to go down there to be with her. And definitely early on, there was a draw. Like you knew she was there, like we were sitting there together. But yeah, you feel like there's a connection there, the spirit's there. So it's a nice place to just go and sit.
I miss her. I miss her so much. Katie, come back. And I know that's not possible. She's gone. No more laughter, no more sharing, no more happiness, no more tears, no more nothing. Just gone.
This tragedy, I think, has definitely brought us closer to God. There are days where it feels like this shouldn't be happening and you question God, and some days you feel a little angry with him because he let this happen. We know this wasn't his plan for Katie and that evil is what caused this. But we know that, he's going to make everything right in the end, and Katie's with him, and we can't wait for the day that we get to be with her again.
This is not even a day-to-day thing. This is an hour thing. She was just knowing she was out there. Even when we weren't together, we were together. And whatever you hear about folks talking about, they've got it. This person has it. That it thing, whatever that it thing is, Katie had it in spades. It will be a tough go. And it's frustrating that she got death and we have a life sentence now. I would give everything, the rest of my days, everything I have, for one more hour with her. That's how much you miss her.